What up, all you people out there? It is the Stone DM here. And we are coming off another fantastic session last night, and I just wanted to drop in and keep it consistent and throw out some thoughts. Hopefully, this one isn't a tangled array of madness like a Tangela from Pokemon. But probably will be, which is quite all right too. We are still in Fort Runaft. Well, I mean, I guess I should probably tell you who we are. We are the All Bear Crew right here on YouTube. Head on over, check us out. We got some playthroughs on there, and right now we are going through the world of Mirage. It's actually been a lot of fun, but also kind of difficult, honestly, because I'm used to preparation in motion. You know what I mean? And there hasn't really been a lot of motion right now. They're in kind of one spot and doing the one thing. Well, not one thing. There's several things that they have to accomplish, and there's like a couple missions that take them away from here. But I mean, the thing still stays the same. As far as preparation goes, like we haven't really progressed in the world. We're trying to get this area handled before we move on, and it's just kind of complicating because, like I said, I'm used to writing in motion, and there hasn't been any motion. However, they're handling the situations really well. I just, as far as prep work goes and stuff like that, I had a thing that I was used to, and now we're doing a different thing. But one of the fun things that is happening is that they're not only going to combat for the solution. And when I was trying to come up with these different scenarios, I had imagined, a few different ways to do it, combat, not and then there's a few different endings that could potentially happen depending on how they handle it. But they are really exploring their options with this, and they're really role playing into the characters and understanding. Different decisions have different consequences, and what may be the better choice for now, but what would happen to the later. And like I feel like they're kind of thinking about that, so it's a lot of fun. And they like I don't want to like say anything that may or may not come up, even though I mean I suppose I kind of could, but if it happens, it happens. I mean, not like I'm gonna intentionally do that, but like they're really exploring the options with this, and that's a lot of fun. Just this last session, they're trying to figure out the suspicious sheriff, not Ingham, and they tracked him to one of his places that he goes to hide out. Well, not hide out, but like a place that he goes in the middle of the night. And they ransacked his room, and they snuck in behind the guards and stuff like that. They also made headway with the actual king while the sheriff was out, even though he is just a child. He is still technically the ruler, and they made good headway with him. They're really just even though we haven't gone into the world more, they're really letting this town just really flesh itself out and really come to life and exist. And it's not like they're just stopping here to do a thing and then going on. Like they're really enveloping themselves into the world, and that just makes everything so much more fun, especially like when it's a place that you designed coming to life. And it's crazy to just see how much they've developed as game players. And but also like it also lets you know like the kinds of things that you will need to understand as a DM, like what kind of checks are going to come up, what kind of what kind of DCs are there going to be for the checks, uh, you know, are they going to be battling the uh, NPC or is it a set check? You know, those kinds of things are going to come up, and we have to be ready for those. And if we're not ready for them, one, we have to be open to that happening, but we also have to be ready for um, introducing that and then staying consistent with however we rule it. Or, you know, talking to the players and letting them know that that was wrong. Like we just had the thing with Pass Without a Trace came up, and you know at the table we have enough time to look it up and stuff like that, but we were still unsure because with the rules as written it was a little confusing, but we eventually got it, and only you know the one person in the area has it. You have to be next to the person who casted it in that area. Um, so they followed the sheriff. They found this place that he was going to, and they came up with a game plan, and they decided that they were going to investigate this area. But the night before, Lafian had told the Boy King Groger that he was going to go fishing with him, and the young king was super excited about that. So he was ready first thing in the morning. So what they did was they took the Boy King fishing toward the place that they wanted to investigate. Killed two birds with one stone. Had a great time fishing. I kind of stole from the World of Io a little bit on like the timing of the fishing thing, and then I just had a roll 20, and then checked for swim monsters, and that was what they caught. And then the fun thing about it is they both caught different versions of snake, and like that area is kind of going to be like snaky. But they really did well on the handling of the monster that is dwelling in the cave at the moment, and he left them with quite the dilemma. He kind of gave up some answers because he isn't really too concerned with that as long as he gets what he wants. And what he wants is really just a comfortable life and, you know, easy food. So they have to figure out if they're going to try and make this deal with this guy or if they're going to, you know, let the sheriff continue living and having his deal, or, you know, if they're going to make a deal with the sheriff and this, that, like, or if they're just going to kill everybody. But like, there's, you know, a lot of stipulations. I'm not gonna ruin everything. You're gonna have to go watch the episode and check it out, and it's really worth it. Like, these guys are fantastic role players at this point. They're really falling into their characters. It's just a lot of fun, and we're having a Halloween kind of thing. We may not play a session of this in the world of Mirage. We may branch out and do a couple different things. I've been developing a game based on kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, or just like a random like hide and seek type game. And we got some ideas for that, so we may play something like that. I don't know if we're gonna film or not. I think we should. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And then who was it? The Deficient Master on YouTube made Monopoly, and that looked hilarious. And if I could see what he did with that and incorporate that, that would be super fun. But oh, this one's not gonna go well. I might have to break this one apart, shove it in one of my chillums. Some of these joints, man, they just don't roll right. You know. They're the pre-rolls. Hmm. We'll be okay. Time for the stone pop. Uh, but they're really they're really involving themselves in the world, and like I said, as difficult as it is trying to create, well, trying to prep for the session, I already know a lot of what is in the town. So most of that just comes from me having the notes and remembering, what is already here. And then just, really letting the town flesh itself out. Because honestly, I kind of did imagine that we were going to stop here, be here for like a day, 2 days, get it over with, maybe even just slaughter the guy and move on. Like, I'm really wasn't sure like what path they were going to take. However, many there are. We're still fairly new to the game. And if you got a bad guy and you just run into him and start talking shit, you're just going to end up in a fight. But they didn't do that. They avoided him, espionage mission, tracked him down, figured out what his whole little game plan is. And just watching it's a lot of fun. But what I'm trying to learn right now as the DM is how to fluctuate allowing the roleplay to happen and pushing the story along. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I've really got to work on now, because I will sit there and watch them roleplay the whole time. But I realize we're not going to get anywhere if I do that, because the players aren't just going to push themselves. So I have to leave room for roleplay while pushing them, in the direction of moving the story forward. Because while as fun as it would be for them to sit there and just roleplay everything, if they tell everybody everything immediately and never progress anywhere, now they all just know anything. They haven't done anything, and there's too much to really do for them to even have an easy decision to make. Where if they get to roleplay a little bit, we push them along, the story develops, and then more roleplay happens as the story keeps. Then they learn more about each other, learn more about their directions and their desires, and then as they travel together, things open up and the world opens up more. Because where we stand right now, we have a lot of sessions that we can get out of just this world. Well, not just this world, out of just this little story with these characters, presuming they all live long enough. But it's 5e and they're all closing in on level 5, so they're almost invincible anyway. And then we were talking, because we haven't had Revivify, we haven't had Resurrection yet. So it's how do we want to handle that? And the players are fairly okay with allowing no Resurrection, which I'm not sure if I want to do that. But I do want to find a way to make it special and not consistent. Because, honestly, when you do start to get those spells, you can just solve all the problems, you know what I mean? So I do want to find ways to ensure that it's special if it ever does happen. And then I also need to figure out ways to ensure mortal danger while not purposely solidifying it. The opportunity for them to be dead has to be there, while not forcing the situation of them dying. You know what I mean? And then it just comes down to, risks they take as characters, or if they come across a strong monster and someone maybe wants to sacrifice themselves or something noble like that, that'd be crazy. But it just depends on what they run into in the world and stuff like that while they're traversing. And then what happens while they're here. And, whatever decisions they make while they're here, and then when they leave, and, as time progresses through the world. But I think we are closing in on the final stages of Fort Runaft, and they are going to be interested in moving along. So we're going to get some more world travel. So I'm going to have to be ready with some checks and some scenarios again. In the swamps, it was pretty easy, just simple monsters. For this, it's not going to be as easy. They could go back through the swamps. They could go around, but nobody goes through the desert. Are they going to be those nobodies? You know what I mean? Are they going to travel by water? Are they going to, travel across the land? There's roads, there's waterways. Are they going to go directly to the next locate? Like, are they, because some of these places could be weeks away. And, as far as travel goes, I try to do it, like, daily. But I may have to play with that a little bit, too, because that could, provide some interesting problems. So, as they close in on this and we start to go out into the world, I'm going to have to start doing a lot more situational occurrences. Not just because they're going to be like the swamps is a little isolated, but as they get closer into more traveled lands, there's not just monsters that they're going to be able to come across. There's going to have to be scenarios for them to encounter too. So I'm going to have to, steal a couple from some people, develop a couple on my, introduce a couple things, and maybe, if possible, maybe we can develop a couple like mini games or something to really just let the role play happen and allow travel to happen a little more fun. But it's still going to be a really dangerous world, and those scenarios are going to come up, so I'm going to have to, allow myself to not pull any punches. If too strong of a monster appears, they're going to have to, figure out a scenario where it is possible to get away from it or work around it, or die. But that's just a fun joke. I'm not actually trying to kill them. They all, like to laugh about that I am. However, but there's also going to have to be, scenarios of like the icy bridges, the floods of the swamps, and stuff like that. Like I just need to get a little more creative. That way people don't get bored with such a monotonous type of experience. But that's part of what really allows this to be fun for me is being able to come up with these things and watching them destroy everything I thought and completely do a different thing. I've always really enjoyed storytelling. However, writing a story has always just been terribly difficult for me. I'm not great with words. I really enjoy writing, and I'll write a shit ton, but it can never be consistent, like in a story. So sitting here with these guys every week and telling this together, and then we have it on video, so it is an entire story that is being told in one consistent sequence, is phenomenal, and I'm having a wonderful time just sitting through that. And then not being responsible for every character's choices. That way I'm not the only mind that is involved in the creation process of who's making what decisions is even better, because now it really is unpredictable what a character may do next, because who knows what they're thinking. And with them being immersed in these characters as much as they are now, I can't even guess about them as a person. I have to try and guess about them as the player. And then hope some spontaneity of the person doesn't pop in and ruin whatever I had imagined from that. And by ruin, I mean make it entirely more fun. Uh, but, you know, when you have something you're like, oh, this is gonna, oh, that did not go the way I thought. Like, it's fucking great. Um, so the collective storytelling of it all is a lot of fun. Perhaps we could turn these into like little short stories or something like that too. Like, turn one of them into like the main, or I guess you don't even have to turn one of them into the main character. They could all have, you know, uh, like Game of Thrones or Aragon, the inheritance cycle, where they did different point of views from different peoples. I really need to figure out what I'm doing with the camera. How do you guys count to 3? Do you guys do it 1, 2, 3? Do you start with the thumb? That's weird. But not if you do it. No, I'm kidding. It's weird if you do too. Uh, I mean, I do. Maybe I'm the weird one. Who does that, right? Like, who calls 3 like that? Isn't 3 supposed to be? But this isn't part of the stone DM. No, is it? This is just stoned, which is also a lot of fun. But smoke responsibly. Only you can prevent forest fires. See, we got off the rails. We always get off the rails. So, a lot of the fun that we're going to have coming up here is, depending on which direction they want to take and how they want to get there, it could be several days. There could be several scenarios that they come across and run into. There's also life stuff happening, and that could also come up and create a different scene altogether. So it's going to be a lot of fun figuring out how the people in their lives will react to them being away for so long and potentially not where they had imagined that they ever would be. And then it's also, you know, going to be a lot of fun seeing the players react to these situations that they are now fully embraced in and have no way out of. Because, like, they can't just fly away. So now they're on a journey. They chose, you know, not to, like, obviously they're in a town, they can just, like, get on a wagon again. But, like, the caravans only go through so long and they're only so safe. You never know what kind of monsters they might find in the world. So watching them progress into this is going to be a lot of fun, coming up with the scenarios, and then writing just interesting monsters in that I want to see, and potentially that, like, I hear that other people want to see. Anything that they might have an interest in at the table, I need to find a way to reintroduce. Or not reintroduce, but introduce. No, John, I am not just going to throw cubes at you miscellaneously. Maybe. But, so, if you guys want to see some monsters, go ahead and drop some below. Go ahead and check out the All Bear Crew. We try and drop videos every week. We play most weeks. Every once in a while, obviously, things come up. It is what it is. We're not doing this for the video. We're doing this for the fun. However, for a lot of us, it's easier to take the notes. But, honestly, now that I have developed the world myself, and we're embracing this story together, and it is fully homebrew, I honestly am a little bit more interested in seeing what people might think about it and how they might think that we're handling the situation. and the game even together, because we're all still pretty new. We're coming up on our 2 year anniversary here soon, and that's super cool. Um, but like we have a lot to learn. I'm gonna be incorporating different scenarios as much as possible, and then trying to use different like mini game s type things just to change the game up a little bit. Well, not change the game up, but just take away a little bit of the monotony that could be travel, because a lot of the things that I have envisioned thus far for travel are kind of monotonous, but it hasn't been more than a few days, so it's like no big deal. You know what I mean? But if we're out there for 2 to 3 weeks, do I want to just timeline it like speed it up? Do hey, you're there, or do I want to hammer it out? I kind of developed the world to where I have to hammer it out because the world is dangerous and I need to, keep that going. However, if I do speed up the time, I can just, roll for encounter and see what happens and, go from that. But like, I think as long as I do allow for the role play and the encounters do change, um, and uh, like maybe there's some things in between that breaks up just hey do the day kind of thing, um, but also it depends on which directions they take and different types of settlements or lack thereof that they may encounter and who may or may not be on the road. I'm super super excited to see Marej grow more. I have the base of the land and the world, and we have a few cities and stuff, but not all of it's fleshed out yet. That could be, a bit of a downfall when we do reach certain areas. However, I do have enough of it fleshed out, and I do have uh, enough time in between to really set things in stone before we really reach specific destinations. So um, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're also going to allow them to tell me what kind of scenarios are happening. That way they're going to be more involved in which direction the story goes. So maybe I can present a scenario to them and allow them to bloom that specific story in their own direction. Uh, but I'm really excited, and I hope you guys go check us out and keep watching. Drop a like. Let's hang out next week, and don't forget to smile. Keep smiling.